playing Fortnite. We're covering the riots both in Kentucky and around the country. And the riots are happening in Grand Rapids right now. It is May 30th, 10:04 p.m. Standard Mountain Time. This is fucking wild, dude. Look at this shit. But now it's turning into local businesses. We talked earlier to City Manager Mark Washington, who told us, yes, the economic geography of that area is very small business heavy, and so it really breaks your heart to know that. And this is coming from, I believe, Fox News, Fox 17, which they're probably gonna fucking stream snipe me for copyrighted material. But you know what? I don't give a fuck, because if you're tuning in right now, you can hurry up and watch it for the copyrighted.
Trying to figure out exactly how they're going to be cleaning up the graffiti, how long it'll take to fix all the windows, not only in the police department, but as we showed you.
Where else are they riding? OG Timeless?
Possibly dozens of businesses.
Babe.
Was saying we don't know exactly how far out these protesters are going in the city, but she says it doesn't seem to be dwindling. They're just going to different areas.
What did I say?
Grand Rapids. So I know they're downtown right now near the police department.
I know you fucking
Cody.
Damn, they're spray painting statues in Richmond with paint. Fuck crazy, man.
Dude, the world's coming into an end. The world is ending, bro. And you're all the way in Kentucky.
Get over there and sit down. And don't move. Dad.
What?
He's not allowed to move.
Don't move. Freeze. Sit down. Sit down. Stop. Stop. No, sit down. No.
Yo. Justin.
Hold on.
Oh.
We ready, bro.
Yeah, we actually came out from the parking garage and now we're on.
No.
A little ways away from the Grand Rapids.
Where's the shadow blunt? Get smoke
No,
blunt, fucking
dude.
watch some of this shit.
My laser is dead. That's sad. That's sad. That's super sad.
Please don't distract your son from the TV. I just got him to pay attention to it, and I'm done messing with him. So, your next move is getting off the game.
I'm not getting off the game.
Everyone's gonna get arrested. Trying to prevent these protesters
they push everyone out, I'm gonna find somewhere to be out here.
Any further.
All for the
Definitely a lot calmer than what we have seen throughout. You know, I would even say just 30 minutes ago. It's a lot calmer than what we saw just 30 minutes ago. So hopefully it's
Fucking good to stop.
That's the first time this has died. Ever. Hush, son.
Oh shit, it's getting crazy in fucking Washington right now. DC.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah, they're trying to guard the White House. It's lit, boy. I'm saying, if I lived in one of these cities, bro, I'd just drive around to other stores and spend
that battery's
get
dead.
what I want. I'd have whatever I wanted, bro.
Yeah, what if you get shot though? It's on the loot, bro.
What, live in these places?
Yeah.
Nah, there's like fucking 50 to 60 people doing it with you.
That is true. We got this, boy. Big gats. You ain't looting shit.
And right now, the cops move closer in, and the people kind of stay.
Cody, go watch my stream.
We need to find this goddamn Nashville shit.
Go watch my stream real quick.
On YouTube?
Yeah. Go to it's about 6 minutes and 30 seconds in.
Oh shit, I'm watching. They protested in London earlier too.
That is the main thing while they're bringing you this information. So that's what we're going to do. So again, now we have 3 crews down.
I didn't know they were doing that.
I want you to save every single action that we've taken pretty much for the last couple of hours, where they're
You ain't taking shit.
of that main drag downtown.
Taking shit.
Bolted the Rose Center all the way up to the Vision and the Veterans Memorial Park there. And that's a real stretch.
Yeah, and if you notice this, it was a little, I don't know, a strange symbol.
They gonna put us back in the goddamn quarantine, bro.
Nah,
They
dude,
gonna
it's
put us
over.
on lock now.
It's the revolution, bro. That's going on right now.
All these cities are gonna have curfew.
Fuck that curfew.
Well, I mean, everybody's saying fuck that curfew anyway. I've seen so many videos of kids getting maced, bro.
Parsley's Bar and Grill, Madcap Coffee. Aaron was saying there were hundreds of people on the street that he was just on, and they are also looking to...
This is going on right now, bro. Downtown Grand Rapids.
You just saw him run away from one of the businesses because it looked like police were...
Bro, we ain't fucking with you. Don't bring that shit here.
Some of the things that we heard from the police chief earlier, Chief Payne, he said...
Cody, send me some money. I need to load up on some AR rounds. Shit's about to go down.
As we see now, that is no longer the case. There have been fires.
Big drum.
There have been graffiti all over the place and a lot of windows.
Big drum, boy.
And just about an hour ago, Grand Rapids police tweeted out a picture of Chief Payne with a microphone, apparently talking to some of the crowd behind the barrier of his own
fucking
officers.
around.
It says Chief Payne and every GRPD officer has heard you and is ready to continue our work together. But it's time for me in the downtown area. That tweet from an hour ago. So well into our coverage of this, echoing the same thing that Ryan was told at the beginning of our coverage of this, which is it's time to go home. This is no longer a peaceful demonstration. This is no longer a demonstration.
We're going to go back live now to Lauren Edwards, who is downtown.
Why are you doing that?
And Lauren, what are you seeing?
What's he got?
So we are by Rosa Parks.
Got big
Circle,
straps.
over to my left, and I just remember it was only hours ago that it was jam-packed. So many people there. You know, so many people there expecting a peaceful protest, but clearly, as you guys are saying,
You ain't get no peaceful protest. It's over. The government's done.
Very, very popular ice cream and chocolate shop here, as you can see, busted as well. And this is what a lot of Grand Rapids.
They better run, bro.
I'm watching people loot a Walgreens right now. I don't know where they're at.
Things like that. People still taking signs off the street and just throwing them any which direction they can. So we're trying to be safe at the same time.
Look at that shit.
I wanted to show you
Quit jumping on the tail.
It's gonna spread, bro. It's gonna spread like wildfire. The country's gone mad. We ain't playing Fortnite anymore. We're just covering the news. Stop, son.
That nigga said get the condom.
Get the condoms.
Yeah, I'm watching people go in and out of a fucking window at a Walgreens.
Who are
This is
down
crazy,
here
bro.
in the city of Grand Rapids, destructing
It's all
or
black
destroying property to stop it. This is not the way we handle change. You cannot fight on the streets. So I'm asking them to stop it.
And, sir, we know the initial purpose of today. We know the initial purpose of what started at 6 o'clock. Can you tell us just a bit about why it was that today was so important?
Well, you
Yeah,
know, I just want to be
man.
clear.
Shit's gonna pop off tomorrow, man.
From an NAACP perspective, we
Tomorrow's Sunday.
a march or a rally or whatever you want to call it. We were just simply supporting the efforts of the organizers today. And I have to say, it was peaceful. I was down in September, and it was a peaceful rally, and then it was a peaceful march. There were no incidents at all that I witnessed personally. And so I think the purpose of the march and the rally,
That's fucking crazy.
the individuals who organized it, was to amplify the need to improve community and police relations, not only in West Michigan, but across this country, which is a conversation that we've been having for many, many years.
Well, and let's jump right into that. If you could expound a bit, we've been asking folks all night from both the law enforcement perspective and from the citizens' perspective what needs to get done, because we've seen this happen before. We've seen instances pop up where there has been obvious disparity between the police department and between minority communities, and we have talked about it. What do we need to do that's going to make a difference? What are we going to do now, tomorrow, starting tomorrow, that's going to make a change?
You know, that's a great question, and it's an intense question actually, and I don't actually know if I even have an answer to that. But one of the things that I will say is I think we can start doing with respect to community and policing is that we have transparent conversations, right? In that we have open and honest communication. That's what I would say we need to start. I think that's where we need to start at.
And you were talking about more conversations. Where does the NAACP go from here? I know this was not your doing, it wasn't your protest. But when you're talking about African American, other minority communities, where do you guys go from here as of Sunday, as of next week, as of next month?
But I think so let's be clear on this. This is not just a black or brown issue. You know, we have these issues when it comes to low wealth and poor white communities as well. So there's a disparity
I'm gonna get off here, Justin.
in our opinion.
Alright, man. Deuces.
Who are white,
This
who
shit.
are low wealth, and who are poor.
Talk to you
I'm
later,
probably
bro.
gonna stream a little bit more and keep coverage on this shit.
So I
Alright,
think that
later, bro.
Alright, peace.
tomorrow we'll go back to, you know, what we have been asking for the last, 5-8 years is for,
No, Cody did.
Grand Rapids Police and other municipalities to come to the table and have an open and honest conversation, right? And to have that conversation be community directed, right? And to look at, really what policies and procedures actually need to change to to protect not only the lives of local law enforcement, but the lives of everyday citizens. So that's what the dangerous are.
And let me ask you this, too. You have been the leader of the local chapter of the NAACP for some time now. Have we made progress here in Grand Rapids?
Oh, yeah, I think we have. I think we actually absolutely have. I mean, you got to think about, several years ago, 5 years ago or so, we passed we got the 12-point plan passed through the city commission. We just had a conversation about budget cuts with respect to specific items concerning improving community and police relations with respect to the Grand Rapids Police Department budget. And so I think that we absolutely have made progress. Even when, prior to Chief Payne, Chief Rahinsky was here, I think Chief Rahinsky had a open door policy where he was willing to listen to the concerns of community. And so I think that there has been some positives.
Another thing that we have been hearing a lot and seeing a lot on Facebook and Twitter, a lot of people are saying this is not what MLK would have wanted. And he had a quote that said, "A riot is the language of the unheard." A lot of people are saying that on social media. Do you think their voices are being heard now? And is this the right way to go about it? Because a lot of people have also been commenting, looting and setting fires is not going to change anything. It's only just going to make matters worse.
Well, again, I think we have to understand trauma, the impact of trauma on communities that have been marginalized, right? And so this is, when I look at what's happening tonight, it is a direct result of trauma that has not been dealt with and that has not been properly treated, right? And so I don't think that this is the way to go. Like I said earlier,
and
our fight is not on the street. We should not be doing this, right? What we should be doing, however, is looking at how do we change systemic and institutional racism from a policy perspective, right? That's what we have to do. That's exactly what we have to do, and we have to educate people in terms of how that works.
Yeah, and this seems.
I think this is just a lot of pent-up frustration that is horrible and unfortunate, and this is just not the way to handle these types of situations, right? But I also will say that I think there are a lot of provocateurs that have come into the city to incite this type of violence as well. So I think we need to be conscious of that.
Yeah, and one more question for you too, sir, before we let you go. As you said, we've seen this before. We hope not to see it again, but what was it about this particular instance, this killing of George Floyd, that really seemed to have ignited some of these principles that you were talking about in people around the country?
It's not just about this incident of, George Floyd. It's about the magnitude of the problem. Before, 30 years ago, we all witnessed the brutal beating of Rodney King, right? And so, and after that, we've had multiple other incidents. When you think about Mike Brown and Tamir Rice and all of the other black and brown children and adult males and females that have been murdered at the hands of local law enforcement agencies across this country. So it's not just about, this one incident. It's the multitude of incidents that continue to happen across this country.
All right, Clee Jackson, the president of the Greater Grand Rapids chapter of the NAACP. Thank you so much for your time and for your insight tonight. Please stay safe.
Thank you.
And just to recap a couple of the things that he was talking about, he said the big question out of all of this is how do we change systemic and institutional racism? He says what's happening tonight and at different cities across the country, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Chicago, New York, is a direct result of trauma, and it has not been properly dealt with. This is not the way to go. He said that their fight is not on the street. And a lot of these people have the pent-up frustration, but he said that this was not the way to handle the situation.
Yeah, and we're going to go back out loud now to our Marisa Overly, who is still in downtown Grand Rapids, still keeping an eye on things. What are they looking like now, Marisa?
Well, Doug, we are seeing a fire right here. This is on Ionia, right near Monroe Center. And if you can see it, it's obviously we are up here in a parking garage just for safety reasons. But there is a fire. Earlier when this was burning, it seemed like it was some type of garbage bin or dumpster, and there actually is another fire off to the left of it.
Put
and
it
it's
down.
hard to see just because, like I said, we are in a parking garage and the building is blocking it, but there is just smoke covering that portion of Ionia Street. But if we turn over, it's very hard to see, but if we kind of pan over to the right, police are out here in their protective gear and in their with their shields, trying to prevent people from going up Monroe Center.
Holy shit, that's crazy. What the fuck is going on in the world right now? I cannot tell you. right back to it. Give me 1 second. Unload.
The protesters say this was not their doing, and a lot of this could be coming from outside the city agitators that we've been talking about before. And it just seems like what we've heard from the city manager, that guests in the community, they may be guests, but they have been part of this. They're not going to be part of the recovery. That could take a while. You can see the cardboard there on fire, people using stop signs to try and break the windows. Somebody went inside that business, and several people down, as you were just saying, Doug, with the pandemic, everything was closed. Everybody was getting ready to reopen, and then this happens, and it's going to be a setback, and it's going to be hard on a lot of families and people downtown who are going to be waking up to this. They may be hearing things right now. It's probably a little tough to be sleeping downtown if you live down there, and you're probably watching what's happening live on your TV, possibly on social media. There were several fires. As you can see here, there's one in this dumpster, and people setting off what appear to be fireworks and tear gas canisters that are being shot at different people.
Yeah, and truth be told, that was something that Commissioner Robert Womack, who we talked to on the phone a couple times throughout the night, who was also down there with the demonstrators, was saying was, with the pandemic, a lot of people are ready to get out and go do something, no matter what it is. This was, for many of them, he was saying the reason that they were coming out of their homes was just simply being cooped up for too long. It's an unfortunate thing to have unfold here in Grand Rapids at this time for us at all, really. But again, we are still tracking a lot of unrest downtown. Our crews have been all over the place tonight, and so we're going to keep an eye on things.
And we have Sergeant Dan Adams from the Grand Rapids Police Department, spokesperson for the department. Sir, thank you for joining us again. I know when we spoke with you earlier, a couple of hours ago, you were asking people to go home and be with their families. They have not. What is the next step for your officers tonight?
Well, I suppose, first of all, the good news is I think some people did listen to that message. If you have reporters out on the streets, I think you'll have noticed that the crowd has gotten smaller. The concern is that those that have stayed behind are, I think, they're past the conversation point. They're past the point of where this was supposed to be a peaceful protest, and now it's just vandalism for vandalism's sake. And the next phase for us is going to be mass arrests. Anybody who's still downtown should not be downtown. And they're going to have to be held responsible. And whether it's tonight or in the coming days, there's a lot of camera footage downtown from our cameras, from everything from our body cameras to the surveillance videos around the buildings, and even the news footage. And we will follow up on every broken window and every dumpster fire. And it may not be today, but this isn't Grand Rapids, and so whoever's out there still doing this needs to be held accountable. That's the message right now.
Yeah, and Sergeant Adams, we know that there are more than a dozen places around the country that have seen this type of unrest and have instituted curfews. If there were to be a curfew instituted, one, do you see that happening, and two, whose decision would that be over the next couple days?
Well, that's a good question, and that's one of those things that's definitely being discussed. But right now, what's in front of us is the goal. Protecting the downtown, trying to convince everyone to go home and start following up on, the damage and whatnot. Those conversations are being had, and a lot of it's going to depend on what happens. Probably here in the next future.
What is it like for you, sir, not only to see this as a police officer and as a spokesperson for the department, but as a Grand Rapids resident, to see some of these places like Madcap Coffee, the Parsley's Bar and Grill, being damaged, and as some of these people were saying on social media, they had nothing to do with the protest or what's happening?
Well, you bring up the best point, really, is at this point, what really is the point of that activity? Those people didn't have anything to do with anything that happened, whether it's around the country or here locally. These are businesses that are owned by Grand Rapidians. These are businesses that are owned by people in all aspects of our community, from the minority community to all over Grand Rapids. And they didn't ask for this. What did they do to anybody? And that's just one of the things that's so disappointing. This isn't Grand Rapids. This isn't what we stand for. Me as an officer for this city, sworn to protect it, it's disappointing. We're looking at these coffee shops and restaurants and businesses, and we think about what we've done there, catching a cup of coffee with a member of the community and chatting about current events and things like that. And to see windows broken out for no reason, or people attempting to start them on fire, for what point? How does that further anything?
When you were talking about the mass arrests that are going to be coming next because people are not dispersing, how does that happen? Does that come from the chief? Does he come out and say something? Does somebody get on the bullhorn and say, if you guys don't leave now, we're going to start arresting you? When is that call made?
We've already given the announcements that are required, that this is an unlawful assembly, that arrests now can be made. That was made earlier and has been very clear. So to reiterate, anyone who is still downtown and particularly involved in this type of behavior, they've been given their warning. And, we're not going to obviously say when or how. We're not going to give away the tactical advantage, so to speak. But if I were anybody downtown right now, I'd be heading home.
And one more question for you, Sergeant Adams. We've noticed that there are a couple of MSP
cars
on
downtown,
head home. As well.
Guess what? They're probably about to start shooting.
Enforcement here tonight, and also, what are your plans for the next couple of days? Are you expecting this to happen again in the coming nights?
We're really thankful to our partners, from the agencies in Kent County, big and small, the Michigan State Police and Wyoming and the Sheriff's Department, and agencies from all over have been calling and offering assistance and personnel and equipment, and we're thankful for that. But it's bittersweet. It's a sad thing that we have to rely on people outside the city to come in and help us take care of this great city. And it's sad to have to think about having to borrow equipment and things in order to protect what we've taken an oath to protect. So on the one hand, we're thankful for the help, but on the other hand, it definitely weighs heavy on our hearts. So as far as the next few days, we're just going to have to wait and see.
His name is Sergeant Dan Adams.
Plans for the short term and based on
Sergeant Dan Adams.
For the long term. But I guess the biggest message is we've been getting a lot of support, messages, phone calls, social media, people praying for us, hoping that we're okay, thinking about us, and we appreciate that. It really. And so we want everybody to know that we are okay. GRPD is still here. We are still able to serve the community, and we will be.
All right, and we want to just, of course, wish you and your officers all the safety in the world. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight. Sergeant Dan Adams with the Grand Rapids Police Department. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
And we are going to go now out live for Lauren Edwards, who is not far from the Grand Rapids Police Department. Lauren, what are you seeing now?
No, we're not. We're actually, Van Andel Arena is to my left, but we just wanted to show you that the cops are still out here, the officers. We still got Kent County Sheriff's Office here, Grand Rapids Police here. I've seen East Grand Rapids Police, more and more coming. There's just a lot more activity going on out here, and you can see they've even gathered a lot more down that way. A lot more lights, a lot more squad cars, so we can go this way. And we just wanted to show you, again, what's happening on this side of the police department.
And guess what? All of a sudden, COVID-19 went away. Say what?
But, yeah, nothing has really wind down here. The protest, the rioting has just sort of spread. So, sorry, it was just the police going through right there. But, yeah, again, like, the activity down here is not a wind down in any way. It's just more law enforcement, more protesters that are here in the downtown area.
All right, thank you, Lauren. And we have been getting several messages online, and people are saying to the amazing journalists downtown in Grand Rapids covering the event, you are truly appreciated. As we've been saying, some of our reporters have had to run from the tear gas. They've had to run from people who are throwing bricks and water bottles. So again, we thank all of you for being down there. Our Aaron Parsegian is live there again with us downtown on Skype. Aaron?
Yeah, just up the road from Lauren and Micah, where you saw this is Ionia. Behind there, you can see the barrier State Police GRPD set up. That's right outside the Buffalo Wild Wings here downtown. We've seen several protesters actually get up close, and we were going to go live in the show earlier, but they unloaded some tear gas as soon as someone got really close, and I got a whiff of that. But as you can see, they're kind of just holding their ground down here. This part is starting to clear out, but as they push into the city, that's when we're seeing all of the damage and stuff go further down, down into the heart of Grand Rapids. But as I said, they're still out here. We're seeing some people start to leave and kind of disperse the area, but downtown, as you get towards Rosa Parks Circle, there's still hundreds of people here. We're going to continue keeping you updated as we're out here and see how this goes.
Why? Why do you have that? It's fucking regular justice
will not bring peace. Speak out. Take action. The callous murder of George Floyd symbolizes the cold indifference of too many legislators, police, and prosecutors, judges, and juries. He says we have denied justice and we have prevented peace.
Let's go back out now live to our Marisa Overly. She is also downtown. Marisa, what are you seeing? All right, we've lost that feed. Yeah, we've lost that feed. Yeah, again, just bear with us, everyone. This is very chaotic. Our crews are in the thick of it right now. Aaron, we just talked to him just a moment ago. A very far cry from what we saw in Kalamazoo. He was there a couple of hours ago at that protest in Kalamazoo at Bronson Park. And here's some images of it while there was still daylight. Very peaceful out there. A couple dozen people holding signs, many more chanting. A lot of them just there listening. And Aaron was telling us that there wasn't a shred of violence or unrest outside at that protest. And so now we're seeing him back in Grand Rapids, and you can just comparisons between the two of them. It is a very, very tough image to digest between the two protests that we saw here in West Michigan today.
And we wanted to reiterate again some of the things that Sergeant Dan Adams with the Grand Rapids Police Department was telling us. He says that now
they are going to enact martial law.
For vandalism's sake. He says that people have been warned. This is unlawful. An unlawful assembly. Arrests can now be made, and he does anticipate mass arrests. So if you happen to know anybody downtown, if you are downtown, hopefully things will clear out soon. But if you know anybody who is still protesting, let them know, because if they are still there, they are likely to be arrested. He says there's a lot of camera footage. They have body camera footage from police officers. They have the surveillance that is on the buildings. They have this video from us that they can request from us. And he says that they will be following up on every broken window, every dumpster fire, and anybody who is there now.
That is fucking petty, bro.
Still live at this hour at 12:40. You have been given your warning.
Fuck the police.
Arrests will start to be made, mass arrests.
Yeah, and we've seen police activity. Of course, they haven't shied away from using projectiles such as tear gas canisters, and we've even heard some flashbangs going off to try and disperse those crowds. And for better or worse, it appears to have worked. We talked to Lauren even an hour ago. She was telling us that the numbers haven't gotten any smaller, but the stance has. The protesters have moved out to different parts of the city, and even Aaron confirmed it for us when he was down at Rosa Parks Circle, back where this all started at around 6 o'clock, a little over 6 hours ago. There are still people down there too being involved in some of the unrest, and so it really has grown. It hasn't seemed to have calmed down at all, but only spread out. And as we take some looks as we take a look at some video from earlier, as we see our Lauren Edwards walking near the police department, and some shots from earlier today, you can see just how many people there were packing the streets, paying not much attention to any traffic that was moving through, though there wasn't much. And here we see them outside of the Grand Rapids Police Department on Monroe Center, those recognizable trees wrapped in lights there, really on one of the more scenic parts of downtown, just turning into absolute chaos and destruction tonight.
And I know we were going to try and go to our reporter Marisa, but she has been being confronted with a lot of people who are down there. Are we ready for her or still no? Okay, so we are going to recap a little bit of what Clee Jackson was saying with the Grand Rapids NAACP. He says, the big question here for a lot of people who started this peaceful protest is, how do we change systemic and institutional racism? He says this was a direct result of trauma that was not properly dealt with. This was not the way to go, and he said that their fight is not on the street. This is not the way we bring about change, and the big question here is trying to figure out how the minority community talks with police, how they talk with themselves, and try and figure out a solution. Because several people, including the police, say this violence, the fires, the looting, the smashing of the windows at the police office, the smashing of the windows at the Secretary of State's office, the businesses that had nothing to do with this, that now, as we've been mentioning, you know, they were ready to reopen because of the pandemic. But now it looks like it could be another couple weeks.
Yeah, and we've got Marisa Oberly now live. She is ready to go for us. Marisa, where are you?
He's a kid, honey. He's 3. He graduated this. I don't give a fuck.
Hey, Doug, Ryan, we are in downtown Grand Rapids. I'll be honest, not completely familiar with where we are. We are on Monroe Center right now, so we're right in the heart of downtown Grand Rapids. Businesses here are just destroyed. Take a look. This is Parsley Mediterranean Grill. All of the windows are shattered. There is glass all over this business. We're seeing a number of protesters in this area. If we actually turn over here, this is, like I said, we're on Monroe Center, just right up the road from Rosa Parks Circle, and the Grand Rapids Museum, the Grand Rapids Art Museum, actually has some shattered windows as well. They're not completely broken, but you can see that they are, items were thrown at it. And if we, not sure if people were able to see that, but it looked like there was just another flashbang. There are some people running down near Rosa Parks Circle now, running away from that area. We did hear a loud boom. So that is what is going on. But if we take a look, you will see a line of police officers here trying to prevent those protesters from moving any forward. Of course, the Grand Rapids Police Department is just up the road from here. That is one of the many buildings hit hard by today's protest. So that is what we are seeing here. And with that being said, we will, of course, keep you guys updated on what we are seeing, but it is getting loud from a car, so we're going to go ahead and pass it back to you guys.
And we're not going to go very far. We're going to send it right back out to our Lauren Edwards. Lauren?
So we are actually over on Division in Weston, and I just want to show you the blockade that's here. We have Grand Rapids Police. There are 4 cruisers, 4 squad cars. They're all they're kind of lined up in a curve, and they are blocking the street. And we've seen cars and traffic just, you know, follow the orders, just go to the right or just not go down TV. Division, because you can't. No. There's just too much still activity and protesting. And things being damaged, stores being damaged, and stuff like that, so they're blocking everyone. And we just wanted to show you what this looks like. Again, if someone plans to come on to downtown tonight, don't, because you're going to see a lot of streets like this. You're going to see so much where they're just blocking the streets. So we just wanted to show you what it looks here on Division and Weston.
All right, thank you for that, Lauren. And we were just musing on how much traffic we've seen go through. Yeah. So certainly a good sign, we would assume. But thank you for that. And again, we just want to recap in the last couple of minutes why this is all going on. Of course, last week earlier, as it's now Sunday, we can say last week, a viral video appeared online of a Minneapolis police officer kneeling on the neck of George Floyd, an unarmed black man who they were out there on a call of alleged forgery on a fake bill he was trying to pass at a convenience store. That was the call. And then the video of Floyd being knelt on by that officer, Derek Chauvin, who has since now been arrested and charged with third-degree murder for this incident that played out in about 8 minutes of now viral video. He died shortly after George Floyd did at the hospital, sparking many, many nights of protests pretty much throughout the entire work week, and now here in Grand Rapids on our Saturday into Sunday morning. And the destruction we've seen is really heartbreaking. That's the word we've heard a couple people use. It's the best one I can certainly think of.
And we've heard from several different people, as you know, as the graphic says there, riots. They escalated downtown. This was supposed to start as a peaceful protest. Things did remain peaceful in Kalamazoo at the park down there. But here in Grand Rapids, I think I heard a reporter say, and one of the police officers say, that every window in the Grand Rapids Police Department, at least on the ground level, has been busted out. And the same thing happened at the Secretary of State's office. We've been seeing different businesses being hit. We saw a bookstore, a restaurant downtown, several different clothing stores were smashed. You can see the damage here. And one of the organizers And she says things were not supposed to get like this. She was getting emotional on the phone. She said things were supposed to be peaceful, and there are likely agitators from outside their group that either came into town or were not part of the peaceful protest. And again, we apologize for some of the images and the sounds that you guys have heard tonight, because some of these protesters were upset. They used vulgar language. They spray painted vulgar language all over the place. You can see this is the Secretary of State's office that was hit earlier tonight. And the cleanup effort is likely going to take a couple of weeks, if not maybe a month or more, because there's just so much that officers are now having to deal with, not only at the police department, but several of these businesses that have been waiting to open because of the pandemic. Now, because of the protest tonight, they are going to be probably, again, a couple weeks, if not a month. The small businesses, the retail locations, the restaurants, the city manager was saying that these guests in the community may have been part of this, but they're not going to be part of the recovery. Maisha Perry says that she and some of the people who organized this event are going to be going downtown tomorrow to help with the cleanup effort, because this was never their plan. They didn't want things set on fire. They didn't want these windows to be smashed. You can see the guy going inside the building. Another guy right behind him has that stop sign trying to hit the window. And she says it's heartbreaking. Same thing from the police chief and the same thing from the mayor of Grand Rapids.
Yeah, I won't speak for everyone in saying this, but watching the protests in cities across the country for the last couple of nights, it really is different watching it happen to your own city. I can tell you that much as a resident of the city, as a resident of downtown. It is very difficult to watch this all unfold tonight, and especially considering it did begin as a peaceful protest just hours ago. We weren't showing any of this footage. What we were showing was a peaceful protest and march through downtown Grand Rapids to fight racial injustice and police brutality. Now, we have a much different story to tell, and we will tomorrow as well. We should also mention that in our last conversation with Grand Rapids Police Department through their spokesperson, Sergeant Dan Adams, he was telling us that the first step in this was dispersion. They wanted people out of the area. They wanted people to go home, so they started using non-lethal force. They used tear gas canisters. They used flashbangs to get people away from the area. Now, the next step, mass arrests. He's saying this is now past the point of peaceful. This is now past the point of demonstrating. These are dangerous and these are disruptive riots. And now the next step for police will be mass arrests. So if, as Ryan said, you phrased it best, if you know anyone downtown, you're going to want to get in touch with them and tell them to get out of there, because this is not a joke anymore, and it never was. But mass arrests are the next step for police down there.
And the interesting thing about this too is he was saying about the mass arrest that, you know, all of this is on the news. We have the video, and no doubt police are probably going to ask for the video. They said there's a lot of camera footage, not only from their body cameras, but also downtown, the surveillance on buildings, the news footage. He says they will be following up on every broken window and every dumpster fire. It may take a while, but if you're caught on camera, if you're caught, you know, holding the stop sign that was trying to break through windows, if you're caught on camera busting the windows or spraying graffiti anywhere, they will hold you to justice.
All right, we're going to go back out live now to our Aaron Parsegian, who is also downtown. Aaron, tell us what you see.
Yeah, Doug Ryan, I'm here at Commerce Street. Still some people out and about. If you look down there, you can see the Grand Rapids Police Department. That's where there's still a bunch of officers staged, but as I'm walking around, I had to take my mask off because there is so much tear gas still being deployed almost on every road. It's just in the air now downtown here. So we're trying to make our way more towards Rosa Parks Circle at this point, but cops have a barrier pretty much around with these lines of officers with riot gear on, trying to prevent people from making their way downtown. And as we're looking, there's still people out and about and still people trying to make their way downtown, but they're being cut off almost on every way. And like I said, you turn a corner and there's going to be some tear gas there. And we heard from Sergeant Adams there. He is wanting everyone to go home for obvious reason here. We're going to keep keeping an eye out for you. But for now, live downtown in Grand Rapids, Aaron Parsegian, Fox 17.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Glad to see that things have at least calmed down a little bit in your neck of the woods. And again, as we've seen this happen throughout the night, Warren has told us, Marisa has told us, Aaron has told us that the numbers haven't gotten smaller. They've just been more spread out. Let's go back out to Marisa now, who, again, is keeping an eye on things. Marisa, what do you see?
Not yet. No. Like I said, I just went there to hide my PO systems, the computers, the tablets that we use for the online orders,
All right, we're going to get Maurice's attention in just a moment. She's there talking to someone who is on the scene, just working the story for us tonight. We're going to be with you for a couple more minutes as we, again, at least we have the live look around there of what Marisa is seeing. And behind her, that row of police officers blocking off Monroe Center, the street where the police department is, trying to, and then at the other end as well, that very short stretch, about a 200-yard stretch of Monroe Center is where they have blocked off right now, kind of sealing off the police department and some of those local businesses.
And it seems like that person that Marisa did have live, I think we're going to be going out to her soon, if not now, but the person that she is talking with is a business owner. Marisa, what's he saying to you?
Doug, Ryan, we apologize for those technical difficulties, but we are here with the owner of one of a local businesses. Sir, what is your name?
Alberto.
Alberto, and what business do you own here along Monroe Street?
Oh, I'm the manager of one on Cinco de Mayo.
You own Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Talk to me, how is your business doing right now?
Well, I was here all day, everything was fine from, I will say, noon to 11. And then I went home, and then I came back around 11:30 to check how everything was, because I was watching the news and the lives on Facebook. And as soon as I came to my business, I see people like breaking the windows, trying to get inside, breaking the windows of the business next to mine. And I just came, I put the computers, in a hiding spot. I tried to hide the alcohol also, all the cash. I leave the register open so nobody go there and try to, open, and, I'm just trying to save things that I'm not going to be able to get tomorrow. It's a Sunday and we need the tablets, we need the PO system to keep working. But
how are you feeling, seeing your business, the front of your business destroyed and having to hide all of your items?
There is a lot of feelings, but there is nothing that you can do. And I don't think this is going to help what they're trying to get. If they're trying to get attention of everybody, I don't think they need to do all this stuff. And I know it's not everybody. There's good people too. There's people that just came with like signs and they went back home. But all those people that are doing like
Center, whose business has been vandalized. If you take a look, here is just another one of those businesses. That is all we are seeing up and down this road. Businesses vandalized with graffiti, their windows broken. These agitators have just come in and really torn apart this downtown area, and it will be interesting to see how the city recovers in the next few days and weeks and months. So with that being said, we're reporting live in Grand Rapids. Marisa Overly, Fox 17 News.
Thank you, Marisa. It was really hard to hear from him as well. Alberto with Cinco de Mayo, he was saying what a lot of businesses are saying, what a lot of people have been saying on social media. What are these businesses doing to you? They've done nothing to you. And he said he had to hide the cash, he had to hide the alcohol, and they were breaking windows. He left at 11. Nothing was happening at that time, but then he returned after seeing it on the news about an hour ago, and that's when he saw all of the destruction. So it's heartbreaking for all those business owners.
It certainly is, and as we mentioned, many of them local. There aren't a lot of chains in downtown Grand Rapids. There just simply aren't, and so many of these windows that you're seeing smashed, if they're not some sort of state entity like the Secretary of State or the Grand Rapids Police Department, it's likely a business, and a small one at that. And so that is really one of the more heartbreaking elements of what we have seen tonight, and we've seen it from all of our reporters on the scene. They've all found places that have been vandalized or destroyed completely, and as you're seeing on your screen right now, just these small businesses have a lot to now recover from, be it the pandemic, the effects of the toll that is taken on these businesses, and now all of this destruction and all of this vandalism that they're going to have to come back to in the morning.
And the spokesperson for the department was saying, as we said this earlier, that he called it just vandalism for vandalism's sake, and they're not going to take it anymore. We're going to be going off the air here in about 3 minutes, but this will continue overnight. We're going to have more, of course, in the morning. But what he was saying was, is that there's going to be mass arrests. They have told people to leave downtown. They said it is now an unlawful assembly. The arrests can be made. Anyone who is there taking part in this, they have been given their fair warning. So that's likely what we will be talking about tomorrow. And again, there's a lot of camera footage, body camera surveillance on the buildings, our news camera footage, and they're going to be following up on everything. And if you're caught on camera doing something, they will follow it up. They'll post your picture. They'll ask who this is. And they'll try to bring people to justice for what they've been doing.
Yeah, and one more thing, too, to note as we look ahead towards tomorrow, obviously, based on the video that we've seen and the reports that we've gotten, there's going to be quite a bit of destruction, and we've already seen it again, but there are two bits of good news, I suppose, that we have from this. The original organizers of the the peaceful segment of the protest, will be gathering people together to go downtown tomorrow there and clean it up. When we spoke to the organizer of the protest earlier today, they said they felt it was their duty because this isn't what they wanted. Also, City Manager Mark Washington, who was on the phone with us in the last couple of hours, also said that they are going to be out the city, going out tomorrow to assess some of the damage that has been done. And boy, is there bound to be quite a bit of it. But their efforts will begin tomorrow, he said, when they can get some daylight, some peace and quiet, and assess what has actually been done to these parts of downtown, right in the heart of downtown Grand Rapids.
And right before we leave tonight, again, we just wanted to quickly recap things that have happened in the last 5 hours or so. This started as a peaceful protest downtown in the park. People were doing fine for the first couple of hours, and then after that, things started to escalate from there. People started busting out nearly every window on the ground floor of the police department, the Secretary of State's office, different businesses. People were seen looting different businesses downtown. Tear gas was deployed. Police officers are not only there from Grand Rapids, the Kent County, the Sheriff's Department, but also state police. And they will be down there most of the night, I'm guessing, if not until the morning hours. And they do say that they will be making mass arrests.
Yeah, and we just want to thank everyone for staying with us throughout this coverage. We know that it is not something we take pleasure in covering. This is our city, this is our West Michigan, and we all love it. And so it is not something that we enjoy doing, but we want to thank you for staying informed, and we want to urge everyone to stay safe.
And we'll be back in the morning with more details. Thanks for joining us.
You've been watching a Fox 17 News special report. For continuing coverage, go to fox17online.com.
It's a
Leave it alone. No. Leave it alone.
Very special announcement. Our joy has been back in stealth.